Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Bullen Virtual Trade Show Week. And in fact, we are offering all the educational and training programs as a live streaming event and available as a downloaded recording down the road. So ultimately, we're going to end up with a massive archive of all kinds of technical and educational information. If we were to put all that in book form, it would take up the size of the Smithsonian Institute, but it's all going to be digital. Today, and what we're going to have the opportunity to talk about is some things that have evolved in the way of floor care. Ultimately, one of the questions I get asked quite often is, what is some of the most dynamic growth areas for the cleaning industry? And of course, I tend to gravitate towards the floor, pun intended, gravitate. But with that said, in the resilient floor category, we talked about LVT and LVP in previous episodes. But in the non-resilient floor category, floors without give, hard floors, the fastest growing component of that is concrete floors. Kind of amazing, because concrete has always been thought of as a building substrate, something to put a floor on top of, not necessarily to use as a floor. And with that, I decided that it would be absolutely appropriate to bring in our resident subject matter expert in the arena of concrete floor care, Mr. Mel Dean. Mel, it's wonderful to have you join us.
Mark, thank you very much. You're more than kind. I appreciate it.
Well, Mel, you have done a lot of work with concrete. I know in some of your previous lives, you're like a cat, like me. You have several previous lives. You were actually involved in the construction trades. And
That's
in
true.
those trades, very engaged with literally pouring concrete and all of that. And now you and I find ourselves involved in the other side of that, which is maintaining existing structures rather than building new ones. With that said, you know, one of the things that is most dynamic with concrete floors is the fact that they can be made to be very beautiful. In fact, and honed and polished to an incredible sheen. In fact, high-end buildings, high-end operations will use almost a mirror finish on their concrete to show off what's in their building. So with that said, of course, not all floors are candidates to be tuned up with a little makeup. Is that right, Mel?
Absolutely, absolutely. We see a lot of new concrete uses today, Mark. I mean, we see polished concrete floors in high-end homes. We see uh, countertops, concrete countertops considered a luxury today for a lot of homes. Uh, Most commercial buildings have concrete floors, and today you're seeing concrete as a wear surface in big box stores, in retail stores, in shopping malls, even in new church construction. A lot of those have concrete floors, and many of these floors are now used as the wear surface. But this concrete has been color stained. It may be coated or it may be polished, but provides for a very beautiful looking floor. But these floors must be cleaned before they can be stained, coated, or polished.
Well, the bottom line is, and it's important to hit this point, is not every concrete floor is a candidate for being dressed up, be polished and honed, or acid stained, or even dressed up in some other way. And the reason for that is some concrete can actually heave and crack, or obviously a crack is a very unsightly thing to have exist in a floor. So that's not a good candidate. Another problem or challenge with concrete floors is they can exhibit spalling. Now, spalling is a term that's used when the surface, the smooth surface of the
Mhm.
concrete, gets fractured and is gone. And all you see is pebbles and aggregate from the primary pour of that concrete slab. And those are not necessarily candidates at all to dress up in this way. Some of the other issues are things like staining, right, Mel?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Some of the staining that people look at, they want to do something with their concrete, but they may look at their concrete floor and assume that they may make the assumption that they can't deal with it because of these stains. But that's not always true, is it, Mel?
No, it's not, Mark. As a matter of fact, a lot of the concrete surfaces, they appear not suitable for polishing. And the reason is they've been so badly stained. They've been stained from a variety of issues in new construction. You've got a lot of heavy equipment that's on the concrete floor. It could be stained from hydrocarbon oils such as diesel fuel, motor oil, hydraulic fluid that may have leaked out of tractors or construction lift equipment, to food greases and food stains and other oils in buildings that have been in previous use, but maybe they're pulling up their carpeting or their VCT and going to resurface the concrete.
So what we just saw on the screen there, Mel, was a picture of the types of stains that very often are on concrete, and it causes people to assume that they can't do anything with that concrete. And yet there is some chemistry out there that does not work in a traditional way. And it goes after these stains that many people might assume are completely permanent. And Bullen's research and development was involved with you and your background and experience in coming up with chemistry to eliminate these stains that might look entirely permanent. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely, Mark. Thank you for that. Yeah, the first product that was developed was a product called Backcrete Powder, which is designed specifically it uses a viable living bacteria that in a dry form is spread over the concrete. That same type product, same type bacteria is used for soil bioremediation. If you're a local service station, you want to sell your property, you'd have to bioremediate the soil because of all the gasoline and petroleum that had polluted it for many years. You'd literally till a bacteria into the soil and check it in 30, 60 days, and the soil would be clean. That same bacteria is within Backcrete. So when you take this powder and you spread it out over the surface of the concrete, it literally seeds the concrete with an oil-eating bacteria. And there's a sister product of that called a Backcrete foaming food grease digester that the Bullen R&D department was very helpful in helping me develop that. And that's really just designed to remove food grease and food stains from concrete and from outdoor fryer pin slabs, which is a big concrete slab they have outside of restaurants for storing their fryer pin, and kitchen floors and back door opportunities. So in both of those situations, you're using a viable bacteria and enzyme to consume the stains that are deep within the concrete pores.
What I love hearing about that is how the existing technology and some of the things that Bullen had done in the past contributed to the development of this brand new product. Reminds me of a conversation I had with Alex Jardin yesterday regarding the use of odor counteractants and how the study of odor counteractants led to the development of brand new consumer-oriented products. And what you're describing is another example of where some of the science, the research and development that the Bullen R&D have gotten into with bacteriological and bioenzymatic chemistry has led to a brand new form of chemistry that allows us to go after this material. And Mel, you see the big dramatic difference that in that previous picture. Is it because that stuff is just a super
It's not a degreaser at all. It's actually literally consuming it as a food source.
That is such amazing science, and I thought it would benefit everybody to actually hear you say that. So really, really quite remarkable. So again, talking about some of the unsightly things that appear on a concrete slab, certainly stains like hydrocarbons or food fats and greases are a problem. One of the other problems we tend to see, especially in warehouse areas where there's forklift traffic, or any concrete slab where there might be some rubber coming off forklift tires, that becomes a very, very challenging soil to remove. And so we're very, very excited to have partnered with Curecrete on a product that is actually made specifically to go after these extremely difficult soils to remove. And that takes us into a product called Crete Clean Plus. soiled look to a very clean chemistry that goes beyond traditional chemistry. This is not just an example of a traditional degreaser. It's an example of a degreasing or cleaning agent that goes well beyond.
Mm.
The best part about everything we've been talking about up to this point is that you can't even make a decision about your concrete floor and what you want to do with it until you can see if you can get it clean. So the very first step, no matter what, is you've got to get the concrete floor impeccably clean. And once it's at that point, you have a number of other decisions that you can make. If it's cracked and spalled, or there's issues regarding discoloration that can't be eliminated, you may have to top it. And you might top it with a pigmented form of epoxy, or a color quartz epoxy overlayment, or a multi-flake epoxy overlayment. We've all seen floors like that. They're very decorative in nature, but very often they're installed because there are blemishes that can't be fixed in the concrete down below it. So that is why people go in that direction. But once that floor is clean, you can make a decision as to whether you want to exhibit that floor or cover it. And in very many instances, you'll be shocked to find that the floor you have and that you may have considered covering may end up being your most dramatic floor that you could possibly have, and you already own it. All you have to do is use the right chemistry to clean it. You can then go into operations like densifying it, which means making it harder so it can stand up to traffic, kind of like fluoride treatment for your teeth. It makes your enamel in your teeth stronger, avoids getting cavities. Densification of concrete is very similar. It makes the concrete surface much, much harder so it doesn't degrade from traffic. So you can go from that into 5 to 7 different steps of diamond polishing and honing and creating a mirror-like finish. But once you get to that point, I want to let you know that we can provide you with a maintenance guide. This makes a very, very unique opportunity for people involved with the Jan-San industry and the supply chain. You were telling me a little bit about how this works with creating the desire at the end user level. Do you want to tell us a little about that?
Mark, absolutely. This is actually driven by the end user. The end user will come to our distributor, friends and colleagues, and approach them because the opportunities are absolutely huge. As Mark, as you said, this concrete has got to be cleaned thoroughly, and the end user's looking for a way to do that. A lot of them do not have the expertise or technology that we would provide, and so we come along beside them as a resource. So this is going to help in a lot of areas for Jan-San sales. It will pull through specialty cleaners, degreasers, or bioenzyme type products. It will pull through automatic scrubbers, not just 20-inch or 26-inch auto scrubbers, but we're talking larger rider scrubbers as well. Can be very, very profitable. In addition to selling those big riding scrubbers or the walk behinds, it creates opportunities in addition to the chemicals for brushes to go on these machines that will be worn, for squeegees, for floor machines for do smaller areas such as landing pads near stairs, where stairs will be going up or down in a particular building. In that situation, you'd need smaller floor machines and wet dry vacs. So the opportunity for pull-through sales driven by the end users, absolutely huge for concrete for our janitorial supply distributor friends.
Well, thank you, Mel. This has been a fascinating conversation about a topic not a lot of people know a lot about. And obviously, in the amount of time that we are able to devote to it during this session is only a fraction of the information that could be provided regarding opportunities like this. So I really want to implore that if you have a desire to consider concrete care as a opportunity for distribution and sales, or whether you're looking at wondering whether or not the concrete floors you have can be cleaned up and maybe decorated in a fashion of polishing or overcoated, please reach out to us. We have affiliate partnerships with Backcrete and Curecrete that help us with technical expertise that is second to none. And we're actually going to have some additional sessions on these products down the road, since it is a very, very deep and technical topic. Thank you again, Mel, and thank you all for joining us today for this episode of the Bullen Virtual Trade Show.